Hi, James. Thanks for being with us today. I'm
Thank
really
you.
glad to have you here to answer a few questions and tell us a bit about the success of ChipCare. So, it's been a long journey since your technology was born in a lab at the University of Toronto in 2006. What have been a few of the key challenges and high points along the way? And, in hindsight, is there anything you might have done differently or changed?
Well, I think in probably every startup, any startup, but specifically in medical technology startups, funding is a big hurdle. We've been blessed by a ability to attract a lot of non-dilutive funding from the One Network, for example, or Grant Challenges Canada and the Canadian government that has really allowed us to leverage that funding to really pull in private funding. That's allowed us to get through the different phases of our design control. So I think hitting the initial $2 million seed round, the recent $5 million Series A round, I mean, no doubt those have been highlights. Everything else has really been going according to plan. We've been working really closely with some Ontario experts in design control and quality management systems to make sure that as we move through our process, we're doing everything properly. It's all on schedule. We'll have our first handheld device this June. And so I think really the biggest challenge has been raising money. The next big challenge now will be, because we've raised $5 million, we'll now be building a company and really finding the next big challenge for us will be finding the right profile of people to fill the jobs that we now have.
That's a great answer. It's been over 2 years since you began working with Venture Lab. What role has Venture Lab played in the development of your go-to-market strategy?
I mean, besides being supportive, and every time you say something, it's a great answer. So, Venture Lab has been really important for me personally because ChipCare is a for-profit company. So, in terms of understanding how to operate within a medical diagnostics world, I've gotten a lot of great advice from our advisors at Venture Lab. And then particularly when we started to raise money, our Series A is a big chunk of money, and I didn't know really how. I mean, once I was able to establish the framework, then I could run. Genesis and Venture Lab have been extremely helpful to me in terms of sort of creating a vision of how to move it forward. So.
Congratulations on your recent round of financing, which was oversubscribed. That's really amazing. In what ways did the Venture Lab Genesis program assist ChipCare during this process? And please share with us your thoughts. You touched on this just a second ago. I wonder if you could just go a little bit deeper on how the Genesis program assisted ChipCare through the process of actually doing the A round, the venture financing round.
Yeah, I mean, it started with, we needed to raise $3 million. We ended up raising $5 million. It was a really good outcome.
Awesome.
And, the first time I met, and this is post Venture Lab helping us in terms of mission, vision, sort of setting out a business plan, these very important, very basic tasks that a new startup needs to do, and there's a lot of help there. But when it came time to raise money, I went and I sat down with Mike, and I basically, how do I do this? And we sat for maybe 3 hours, and he walked me through it. This is typically, it didn't happen exactly as he said because everything is different, but typically he walked me through a framework that I was able to work with, and then we touched base, every 2-3 weeks. If I had any questions, he was also always very, very supportive and very clear. And then basically helped walk me through our big race. So it was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When you closed your latest financing round, you declared it was a new day for ChipCare. What impact will having a strong cash position have on your plans for the next 18 to 24 months? And what will you be able to afford and achieve now that you have this strong cash position?
Well, I think, ChipCare, like a lot of other startup companies, especially technology companies, they start out as a project, right? So you get a bit of funding, you build a prototype, and then really the first 2 years since we've really been working, almost 2 years now, we've run it like a project. Like get the technology to a certain readiness level that we could then start testing it in the real world. I guess what I mean by it's a new day is that we can start building a company. So we go beyond running it, developing the technology, but kind of trying to really map out how we're going to go to market, and now we can actually execute. So we know we have a very clear understanding of, what are the sales, marketing, distribution, regulatory, all of these different aspects that you need to consider when you're going to market. But now we can actually fund those positions and start making real progress towards market entry.
It's amazing. How important was the publicly funded support network, the Ontario Network of Entrepreneurs, for ChipCare, and what role did it play in your company's success to date?
Yeah, there's a couple of things there. One is the money is always good, especially when you're, before this round, the public money that we were able to receive was always very helpful. Whether it was market entry money or the VAP embedded executive money that paid for a really important chunk of work for us in terms of understanding. But I think even beyond the money, there's the imprimatur that you get from large public institutions. Whether it's the Ontario government or through the One Network, or the University of Toronto, or Grand Challenges Canada, or IRAP. We got a major grant from IRAP. All of these things. When you go towards your Series A, it really inspires a lot of confidence in the investors that are coming in, and it's not like they're not going to do the due diligence and they're not going to really push you to answer questions that you would have to do anyway. But I think that going into that conversation, there's a different level of probably a different level of trust that the potential investors have because you've been vetted to a certain level.
You got a kind of a team of people around you that are giving you a hand and helping you through this stuff.
Yeah.
You will be market testing your first diagnostic product for HIV in Africa over the next 18 months. Please share with us how your vision for the global growth and expansion of ChipCare will start to take shape during that time.
It's hard to tell, really. Our market has a demand of about 20 million tests a year. People aren't buying currently that many tests globally, but that's how big the demand is. Our financial projections that we put together for our Series A raise really projected out selling into 11 countries by 2019, I think. The fact is that if all goes as planned, we'll be in a catalog that's 130 countries worldwide will be buying out of. And then it's our job to convince those governments that the tests that we have are the ones that they want. So when we raised, we needed a hockey stick. I actually tried to make the hockey stick very, very conservative. So it's hard to tell. We have a very concrete plan about going into 3 countries initially. We have a partnership with the Clinton Foundation in order to enter those markets. But the reality is we could be getting orders from many, many more countries. The real limiting factor is our ability to scale manufacturing. It's actually not our ability. I don't think it's going to be our ability to sell into the market. I think it's our ability to scale our manufacturing to a level where we could meet demand, and that's what we're working on now.
In what ways can VentureLab continue to assist ChipCare as the team and the organization evolves?
Having access to VentureLab's network of very experienced advisors who can come in and really help guide us, similar to what Mike did in terms of going through our Series A, that will be very, very helpful. It'll again, it will never be exactly as they say, but they'll give a framework for us to work within and move things along really, really quickly.
That's great. So thank you very much, James, for being here with us and taking a couple of minutes out of your time to sit down and do this interview with us. We're obviously huge fans of ChipCare, and VentureLab's extremely proud that we've been able to play some small role in your company's success, and our entire team's cheering you on. So I appreciate you doing it.
My pleasure.
Okay. Thanks again, James.
Thanks to VentureLab.